Hello everyone! In the first video we talked about the hardware, and now we are going to talk about how to actually install software and get the compute module running. And what makes this video quite unique is that we are not going to use a second Raspberry Pi to work, but we are going to use a bog standard Ubuntu workstation. And what problems there are and what to keep in mind and what to do, now I'm going to show you. So, before we get started, an explanation of the process. The operating system deployment has to take place via a workstation, via an USB connection to the CM5, which has to be in a special bootloader mode. And the CM5 then appears like a hard disk to the workstation, and the normal Raspberry Pi installer can be used to install the operating system onto the CM5. To repeat once again, if your CM5 has internal memory, it is not possible to use a microSD card. You can only install the operating system via this process, which we are now going to play through. Just for completeness sake, you see here I've got the power connected, I've got Ethernet, and I've got HDMI. And this is the configuration which you want in order to get started. The next step is, you see here the first jumper, we have it connected, and then we need a high power USB port, and here the J11 power in connector we connect to the workstation, like so. So, I hear you ask, Tam, have you gone crazy? It's available on the package repositories. And sadly, I have to tell you that at least in the case of Ubuntu, while the application is available in the package repositories, its version is so old that it will not work with most compute modules. So practically, you have to compile it by hand, but as you see here, it's not a very difficult process. So let's go. The first important thing is we must run the command like you see it here, because we also need the submodules, or otherwise we will not have a complete Raspberry Pi distribution. We won't have the EPROMs and stuff. So now we go into CD USB boot, then we go make, and now it starts to actually compile. Then next we go sudo make install, and then we go sudo rpi boot. And now we see the very latest version, and we see that it has successfully been able to capture the device. Now we hear the little beep. If we check dmask, we get this, and we see we had a problem starting up because there wasn't enough power supplied. And if we tried this a few times, then we can go into ls USB, and now we see it found a Broadcom Corporation Raspberry Pi multifunction USB device. And if we go here into the disks, we find the disk. This is very important because you will not see the disk. In the manager, in the Nautilus, you only see it here in the disks plugin. And then the next step is we need the Raspberry Pi imager, which we can download from the Raspberry Pi website. Then we make it executable, and finally we run it. And if it complains about this, we have to go for sudo, and now it's running. And now it's asking what type of device are we looking. We are looking for a CM5. We want the 64-bit version of the operating system. We have here already the device, Raspberry Pi multifunction USB device, and you must be careful to select the right one and not the wrong one. Then we go next. We need to give it some kind of host name. We have to give it a capital city. We're going to go for Berlin because I'm kind of lazy. Next. Then we're going to just play it simple. We're going to use Raspberry because we want to make it simple. And we're going to use P and P here. We don't want the Wi-Fi. We want to enable SSH. We don't want Raspberry Pi Connect yet. And now we tell it write. Fire. And now it will start to download and deploy the whole operating system to the compute module. And incidentally, as you see here on the screen, you don't actually see the bootloader. You don't want the bootloader visible. Instead, you want this mass storage gadget trinket on the screen, which I'm showing to you here. And yes, this can take a bit of time, as you can see here on the screen. And after the write cycle was done, you see that it also does a verification, as you can see here. And now we see that it's done, and it says the storage device was ejected automatically. So we click finish. Now this closes. now we can do one last time this, and we know we're ready for the next step. And the next step, of course, is we remove this jumper here, we remove the power supply from the workstation, and instead we plug in again the dedicated power supply. And then we check the lamps. We see now it is not a red lamp anymore. And then we have to wait a little bit, as always. And after we've successfully waited, as we see here, the desktop will come up for us. And with that, I'm very thankful for your attention. It was a pleasure. Hear you soon. Bye bye.